1. This debate is about strategy. We agree with opening government. So as a consequence of this important strategic understanding, we need to surpass the principal justification that opening talked about and ground it to the real impacts it has to our stakeholders, precisely because it is urgent, as opening opposition defined, and something that all of us need to do because all of these activists and all of these issues are all issues that we deal with on a daily basis. Why did Joseph give his extension in this round? I think there are three clashes in this round that Joseph uniquely solves. First, on the interest of activists and activism as a whole, I think opening opposition really gets this debate wrong. Leader of the opposition says that the main point of this debate is to get more people in. I mean, Chair, if that really were true, it's a really bad marketing strategy to insult and make your potential targets of people who you want to get in the movement to feel bad. I would posit, at their best, they leave so much people out of that conversation as a consequence of them making them really riled up. This is where Joseph clarifies the debate by explaining how it's not about people getting in, but rather on how can these advocacies get long-lasting change, basically all of what member of opposition talked about. I think this is a much more proximate and important metric because all teams in the round agree that the most important thing here is how we can actually do all of these sustainable change to begin with. The second thing that he posited is in the characterization of guilt and shame. I think opening government, while they are valid, misses a really important impact. I'll actually be a lot more charitable than them. Let's take opening opposition at their best and closing opposition as a consequence of that. These people care a lot about Israel and Gaza. Joseph extends on this and actually decides to flip this entire case because it's a really high burden for a team to prove that all of these things can happen and all of member of the opposition's impacts can occur without it sounding assertive. So, the more realistic impact here is that people will have a short-termist view of these particular issues and not have a premium for them precisely because if you really are emotionally riled up about these certain things, you are likely to also be riled up about all other issues to begin with. That is why his example, his illustration of the Starbucks girl is so incredibly important within the context of the round. Thirdly, on the unique extension of literally the counterfactual. It's a regrets debate. Joseph plugged in the important burden that government had to prove of proving the counterfactual. What does the world look like absent this guilt advocacy? Again, this mechanization of compromise poses the least amount of risk and the least amount of isolation for all of these particular people precisely because you are putting to them a more reasonable alternative for them to change their action as opposed to on-site opposition where the strategy is literally just you shouting at them and you expecting them to change their behavior. Mo said it dilutes the value of these activists. Panel, let's please be nuanced, right? You are not able to change minds if you offer no nuance, if you offer zero compromise, if you think that you are correct 100% of the time. The reason why Joseph will not be vegan is because he doesn't see anything wrong with eating meat. So, the way to change his mind is through a gradual process of lessening the amount of meat that he wants to intake as opposed to making him feel bad about himself that he shouldn't eat meat. And like it really doesn't make sense why you have to be so emotionally negative in regards to Joseph for him to change his mind. Like the world doesn't work in that way. These three crashes are uniquely up to the debate. Joseph fills in all of them. So, for the next part of my speech, I'll talk about the two main issues in this debate. Firstly, where can we enable advocacies the best capacity for change, all of those sustainability that closing opposition wants to talk about, and secondly, on just what truly is the best method of getting people to opt in. First issue, opposition bench really extends their benefit. Like, truly look at the case by Deputy Leader of the Opposition, because to a large extent, CEO kinda is derivative of from him. It really just was an assertion that the buy-in that they have will be very sustainable, which leads to all of the impacts said by member of OP. Even if it wasn't, or even if it was, Joseph explains that it becomes an Olympic race of which social issue is going to make you the most mad, which social issue is going to be the most viral, and as a consequence, that is the social issue that we have to focus on. Opening opposition loses this clash for two reasons. The first is on marginalization. It's likely that the people who really do need to change are just going to get mad and not actually likely to opt in to all of the things that they wanted to have, right? Obviously, if you're a really massive meat eater, like a random person on TikTok or Instagram calling you out is literally gonna make you even more radicalized at the point in which that you feel that your own livelihood is going to be insulted. Those that are in the middle are just likely to be a lot more radicalized because when absent this guilt, as per our counterfactual that CG posited, they're literally still going to opt in and do all of the good things that member of opposition talked about. That is not comparative, or that is not exclusive to closing opposition in order for their benefits to accrue. Before I move on to the second reason, go Hasaya. Because as to what you said on the emotional capacity front, if I'm so invested in this and then I move on to the next issue, that is what I'm going to be so focused on. That's the reason why you only really think about Gaza or Russia and none of the other wars that exist in the world today, right? That is the really big harm that happens on your side. Closing opposition loses this debate for the same reason. Based on members' extension, they are okay with performativism based on all of the marketing that they are able to provide. Absent that, on our world, we still have all of these things, and we can't still cater to all of these individual people precisely because they are able to be a lot more bought in by the strategy that we posited to you. Secondly, and I really think this is important, on their illusion of effectivity. This is where I flip a lot of the benefits that were given by member of opposition's examples. Just in nature, Joseph's POI closes a lot of those things precisely because when you think that you are doing well, it gives you no other alternative to actually move forward. For all of those reasons, the counterfactual is given in closing government. I really think you have to credit that. Thank you.